In the heart of the Upper Galilee, on the slopes of Mount Admon, is the visitor center of Adir Winery and Adir Dairy. The partners in the center's establishment are the Rosenberg and Ashkenazi families from Moshav Kerem Ben Zimra. The Rosenbergs and Ashkenazis established a winery and a dairy that produce quality wines and fine cheeses. The wines and goat cheeses are manufactured with the utmost care and attention to detail based on extensive agricultural experience, expertise, and a commitment to the quality of the product. The unique character of the place is demonstrated in the way in which the wine and the cheeses are produced. All processes, from rearing the young goats and making the cheese, to planting the vineyards and producing the wine, are done by the same hands, Adir hands. Since all the means of production are under the family's direction, freshness is guaranteed, leading to exceptional standards of taste, aroma, and quality. The Adir Dairy was established in 1995 and specializes in producing goat cheeses. The cheeses, both soft and semi-hard, are produced only from goat's milk and only from the goats of the Adir Dairy. Today, the herd numbers some 2,000 dairy goats. Making the cheese actually begins with the meticulous work invested in the young kids. After a 5-month pregnancy, the goat gives birth. For the first 3 days after birth, the kids must drink mother's milk with colostrum. Afterward, they feed from the nursing machine, which is available to them 24 hours a day. The kids feed from the nursing machine for 40 days. The kids destined to be mothers are raised for at least 9 months under careful supervision. Milking takes place twice a day, morning and evening. Every goat has an identification chip attached to its leg, which helps to track the quality of the milk and maintains the quality of the herd. The milk is collected daily in a tank and taken to the dairy just 5 minutes away. The milk arrives at Adir Dairy and is pumped into a dedicated tank. The milk undergoes strict laboratory testing and is then pasteurized. In pasteurization, the milk is heated for an extended period, which eliminates the unwanted bacteria in order to isolate the bacteria necessary for preparing the cheese. Also during pasteurization, the fat is separated so as to achieve the desired level of fat. After pasteurization, the milk is put into holding tanks. To prepare yogurt, suitable starter cultures are introduced. The bottles are filled and are then placed into an incubation room. There, the cultures continue to work several more hours until the desired degree of acidity is reached. 24 hours later, the yogurt is ready. When preparing feta cheese, the milk is transferred to open containers, starter cultures, and a curdling agent are added. After several hours it's stirred, and the cheese is moved to special cutting tables covered in disposable cloth. The cheese is cut and transferred to a ripening room. Some weeks later, the cheese is ready. At Adir Dairy, cheese is prepared daily from the fresh milk brought directly from the milking parlor. Thanks to the exacting and healthy diet provided for the goats, the taste and texture of the cheese is uniform throughout the year. The Ashkenazi family emigrated from Turkey in the early 1950s, reaching the deserted village of Ras Al Ahmar, later called Kerem Ben Zimra. The Rosenbergs arrived in Israel after the Second World War and became neighbors of the Ashkenazis.
כפי שאני נזכר בילדות, שבאנו למושב, שלמעשה המייסד של כרם בן זמרה זה היה אבא של אליהו, שהטורקים עלו ראשונים למושב, והוא קלט את התושבים, ואנחנו עלינו שנתיים יותר מאוחר, כאשר למעשה השותפות שלנו התחילה, שאני בתור ילד גדלתי בתוך הבית של ההורים עם אליהו, והיינו ממש שכנים, ומאז התחברנו. את הימים האלה שגדלנו, אבא סיפר שהוא התחיל, אז לא היה מה לאכול כלום במושב. תמיד היה מספר, נכנסתי פה לחורבות שהיו עם זבל, ובילחתי לאלוהים והודעתי לאלוהים שיש לנו מקום לחיות.
Eliyahu Ashkenazi studied agriculture, was an agricultural guide, and together with the Rosenberg brothers formed the partnership that exists today. The families didn't have a lot of agricultural know-how, so they tried their luck with various crops till they discovered which of them could use the local geography to its advantage. The Adir Winery has become well known among Israeli wine lovers, garnering praise, and was crowned Israel's best boutique winery. Adir Winery produces wine made solely from the family's vineyards in Kerem ben Zimra. The Rosenbergs and Ashkenazis planted the vineyards here among the Galilee hills during the 1980s.
לא היה פה כלום. אני זוכר ששאלתי את אליהו, מה האדמה הזאת אין לה עתיד?
The exceptional quality of the grapes is a direct result of the soil conditions and the cold climate here at 870 meters above sea level.
בעצם פה מתחיל כל החומר גלם שלנו. אנחנו מגיעים לחלקות, מנסים לעשות את המקסימום שיצרנו את הענבים הכי איכותיים מהגפן.
The harvest takes place in the early morning and is done by hand. Each cluster and grape receive maximum attention.
יש אנשים שהם שלבים מיוגה, מדברים שכל אחד ממש עושה בשלווה, כמו שאתה רואה פה, דקה של ציור בכרמים בבוקר, אתה מגיע, זה נותן לך הרבה השראה.
After picking, the grapes are brought to the winery to begin the creation of a new wine. The grapes are placed on a conveyor and the clusters are sorted. A machine separates the fruit from the stems, and the grapes are pumped into a fermentation tank. This initial fermentation is called alcoholic fermentation. Naturally occurring yeast turns the sugar into alcohol. At the end of this process, which can take anywhere between 10 days and 2 weeks, the wine is taken out of the tanks. The press separates the skins from the wine. Now, with only the wine remaining, it is returned to the stainless steel tanks for the second fermentation process called malolactic fermentation, or conversion, which turns the tart malic acid into the softer lactic acid. After the fermentation, the wine is removed from the tanks, all of the sediment is removed from the tank, and the wine is transferred to oaken barrels for aging. Some of the wines are aged 12 months, and others for 24. After the barrel aging, the wine is filtered and bottled. The bottles are then returned to the cellars for the final aging of between 6 months to a year. Finally, the wine is marketed.
Mais dans ma vie, y a plein de présents.
Thank you for your attention. Now, indulge your senses. Allow the rich aromas and tempting tastes and textures to pamper your palate.